Young and the Restless early spoilers October 6 to 10th. Jill's move enrages Billy in Genoa City clash. On Wednesday, October 1st, Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer, is talking to Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron, telling her Holden Novak, Nathan Owens, is a playboy and she needs to stay away. Claire says she is going alone to LA but is going to meet Holden there for some sightseeing. Kyle says this whole thing is a trap, and Claire says it's none of his business. She also thinks that Kyle is being egotistical, assuming that all her plans revolve around him. Claire reminds him she's had a very strange life, going from Jordan Howard, Colleen Zenk, being all-controlling to Newman privilege. And she needs to figure out what's her normal, how to live her life. Kyle asks, why not figure it out with me? But Claire reminds him how terribly he betrayed her, and now she needs to figure things out on her own. Audra's being sneaky on YNR. Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, is eavesdropping as Kyle is ranting about Holden and the split. Claire says that Kyle kissing Audra and then lying about it is what broke them. But Kyle reminds her that Holden also has a past with Audra, and Claire calls him jealous and says he's worried she'll sleep with Holden. Then Kyle calls Claire blind, and she tells him he did so much damage today with all the stuff he's saying to her, and she just takes off. Audra reveals herself and that she was listening, and Kyle is just disgusted and says, go away. But Audra taunts him about Psycho Claire dumping him, and Audra calls Kyle a brat, and he says that she's to blame, and she says, stop blaming me. Audra also says that Holden is very handsome and has cast a spell on Claire, and Kyle calls Audra poison. She tells Kyle all they had was hate sex, and he calls her disgusting again. He really hates Audra. And Kyle reminds her that Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, and Holden both walked away from her. Audra says she's still winning because Kyle and Claire split, and Kyle promises to get payback on her. Young and the Restless spoilers. Michael, Victor, and Jack shifting alliances. Later, Claire is crying at the coffee shop over the nasty fight with Kyle. Michael Baldwin, Christian Jules LeBlanc, chats with Victor Newman, Eric Braden, when Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, shows up, and Michael grills them about their meeting. Jack says he and Victor are allies but Victor's kind of like, not really. Michael begs for some information to take back to Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn, to get back in his good graces to prove his loyalty on Young and the Restless. And Jack agrees that Michael needs to be their inside man. Jack says Kane is going to hurt Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, and Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, Victor's grandson, if he targets Jabot and Marchetti is taken down as well. So, Michael's pressing Victor and Jack to work together. And Jack says Jill's on the way, and hopefully, she can shut down Kane. Victor does agree that Jill being there will make Kane vulnerable, but Victor wants to wait and see what happens with Jill before he commits. YNR spoilers. Lauren's fed up, turns to Nikki for help. Lauren Fenmore, Tracy Bregman, asks Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, if Victor is why Michael is working for Kane, and Nikki doesn't know anything about it. Lauren suspects that Michael is with Kane, acting on Victor's behalf. Nikki thinks it's plausible. Lauren says Victor treats Michael like garbage, and Nikki says that's how Victor treats his sons, too. She is such an enabler. Nikki says she doesn't want to meddle or know about Victor's plans, but Lauren gets upset, and she does think Nikki is enabling Victor by ignoring the bad things he does, same way Michael did. And Lauren reminds her that Michael quit because Victor wanted to destroy Jack. Nikki says she can't change Victor's opinion on Jack, and she loves him no matter what. Lauren is at her limit on Young and the Restless. Lauren says she can't take it anymore. She's sick of Michael running around after Victor. And then Lauren asked Nikki to find out to confirm for her if Michael is back with Victor. Nikki doubts that Victor will tell her, and she and Lauren wonder if Kane's threats are real. Nikki thinks they are and she hopes Victor can stop Kane, and she heads over to the office. Victor says Jill's on the way to town and that Jack just left. But Nikki said Michael is working with Kane and Victor plays dumb. And then Nikki directly asks if Victor has been working with Michael, and he keeps sidestepping. Finally, Nikki calls Victor out for not answering her questions, and as usual, she doesn't press him. She just leaves. Jack calls, and Victor agrees that the plan is on track. Nikki calls Lauren and says she agrees that Victor and Michael are up to something. So Lauren confronts Michael and walks out. New beginnings and lingering threats on YNR. On Thursday, October 2nd, Amy Lewis, Valerie Pettiford, and Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, realize they share some things in common, and we know they both miss Damian Kane, Jermaine Rivers, and they both despise Kane. We'll see what else comes up. Audra tries to convince Nate to take her back. There is no way he is going to do it. He's absolutely done with her. Jill arrives back in Genoa City, ready to deal with Kane and also with Billy. Plus, Jill plans a face-to-face meeting with Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, to discuss funding Abbott.com. And Jill and Sally may end up working together to help Billy. But the question is, will that upset him more? Friday, October 3rd, Billy has a reunion with Jill, but it's very upsetting. And he is being forced to deal with some painful truths and tear apart some scars. Billy feels like that Jill always excuses anything Kane does and thinks he can do no wrong, while she thinks Billy does everything wrong. I do wonder if Jill's going to tell him she chatted with Sally. Jack and Victor agree on their new plan of attack. And also this week, Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, and Chelsea Lawson-Newman, Melissa Claire Egan, get a surprise visit from Nick. He drops by their offices at Newman Media and tells Adam that he and Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, are going to LA for a few weeks to help their son Noah Newman, Rory Gibson, with a new club. Nick may fill Adam in on Victor's alliance with Jack, and of course, Adam is going to worry about this so-called truce. And don't forget, we have new Noah Newman about to start. It is Lucas Adams in the role. Next week's Young and the Restless spoilers and damage control. Next week, October 6th through the 10th, Jill may tell Damien that he needs to cut Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, loose. If you remember, Jill insisted that Billy fire Phyllis from Chancellor, but I don't think Kane is going to get rid of her that easily. She won't go away, and she seems to have a crush on him. Audra and Kyle are going to beat each other's throats even more now that Nate has rejected Audra again. And Claire has taken off to LA with Holden. They're going to be lashing out and blaming each other for their breakups. Claire is heading to LA to meet Holden. She's very upset about the things that Kyle has been saying in the breakup, and that may make her more vulnerable to Holden. He does have a big crush on her, but still, he is a wild card according to Audra. Nick and Sharon head to LA to see Noah soon. Jill Abbott has been a force of nature in Genoa City. Bold, strategic, and unapologetically protective of Chancellor Winters. Her instinct for business has always been sharp, but her latest move shakes the ground beneath Billy Abbott's feet, leading to an explosive clash that has everyone in town buzzing. Jill's bold step forward. Jill has never been the type to wait for opportunity to knock. She charges the door down herself. Recently, she decided that Chancellor Winters needed fresh direction. While Devon, Lily, and Nate were cautiously focused on steady growth, Jill saw an opening to expand into uncharted territory. With her trademark decisiveness, she brokered a deal, quietly, and without looping in Billy. Billy had believed he was Jill's right-hand man, the one who always had her ear and her trust. But Jill had other ideas. Instead of consulting him, she orchestrated a partnership that would funnel part of Chancellor Winters' capital into a venture that ties the company closer to Newman Media. The announcement landed like a bombshell. Not only was Billy blindsided, but the mere mention of Newman stirred old resentments. After all, Billy's history with Adam and Victor Newman is practically a soap opera all on its own. Billy feels the betrayal. The confrontation came fast. Billy stormed into Chancellor Winters' offices, his voice echoing through the polished walls, demanding answers. He felt betrayed, not only as an executive but as Jill's son. His temper flared as he accused her of dismissing his input and undermining his position. "Why even put me in this seat if you're going to cut deals behind my back?" Billy spat, his frustration boiling over. Jill, unshaken, leaned back in her chair with her classic Abbott smirk. She explained that Chancellor Winters needed bold leadership, not hesitation. Billy's habit of second-guessing himself, of getting caught in his own spirals, made her doubt his ability to push the company forward without dragging them into chaos. Her words cut deeper than Billy wanted to admit. For years, he's wrestled with his inner demons, fighting to be seen as capable rather than reckless. Jill hitting that nerve sent him reeling. The clash turns personal. What began as a boardroom debate quickly descended into a personal war. Jill accused Billy of being too emotionally invested in rivalries, especially with the Newmans. She reminded him of his destructive history with Victoria, his obsession with Adam, and his inability to separate business from personal vendettas. Billy, on the other hand, accused Jill of never truly respecting him. "You've always seen me as the screw-up Abbott, the one you have to manage, not trust," he fired back. For Jill, the conversation struck another nerve, her guilt over years of turbulent parenting and her constant effort to protect Billy from himself. She didn't say it aloud, but her eyes gave it away. She was scared. Scared that Billy, given too much freedom, would once again self-destruct and drag Chancellor Winters down with him. Genoa City reacts. Word of the Abbott mother-son blow-up spread quickly, because in Genoa City, nothing stays private for long. Devon questioned Jill's judgment, wondering if dragging Newman into the fold was wise. Lily, always caught between loyalty and strategy, worried about how much more infighting the company could withstand before cracks showed to the public. Meanwhile, Victor Newman caught wind of the development, and smiled. Jill's move gave him leverage. He thrived on division, and Billy's outrage was the perfect wedge to manipulate. Victoria, too, found herself in a conflicted position. Though she'd severed ties with Billy many times, part of her still worried about how deep Jill's decision would wound him. Even Adam, no stranger to family drama, mused about how Billy would handle the blow. For Adam, any weakness in Billy was an opportunity to gain the upper hand. Billy's inner struggle. When the shouting stopped and the boardroom was empty, Billy found himself alone with his thoughts, a dangerous place for him to be. He replayed Jill's words again and again. Was she right? Was he still the reckless Abbott who couldn't be trusted? He poured himself a drink, staring at it with trembling hands. Old habits tugged at him, tempting him to numb the sting with alcohol. But this time he resisted. He set the glass down, his jaw tightening. He couldn't let Jill or anyone prove her doubts correct. Instead, Billy decided to channel his anger into strategy. If Jill wanted to sideline him, fine. But he wasn't going to sit quietly while she strengthened ties with the Newmans. He would fight back in his own way, even if that meant going against his mother. Jill's justification. Back at Chancellor Winters, Jill confided in Esther about her decision. She admitted that hurting Billy wasn't her goal, but she believed the company needed her steady hand more than ever. She couldn't allow sentiment, or Billy's volatility, to dictate billion-dollar moves. But a small flicker of doubt haunted her. Had she underestimated Billy's growth? Had she pushed him too far? As much as Jill prided herself on being strong, her maternal instinct tugged at her conscience.